Good morning, everyone, and you are very welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that this webinar is being recorded and we will send everyone an email later today with a link to the recording of the webinar and a copy of the presentation slides. First of all, I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Rachel Hines and I'm the Marketing Manager at BrightPay. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Matthew Parker, who is the support manager at QuickFile.
Good
So a
morning.
massive thank you, Matthew, for joining us. It's great to be working with you for this webinar.
And likewise, it's a pleasure to be here.
Brilliant. So I suppose just to look at the agenda for today's webinar, we'll be discussing how BrightPay and QuickFile work together so that you can streamline the payroll process from start to finish. Plus, we'll look at the benefits of integrating both systems and what it means for your business. And at the end of the webinar, we will have a questions and answer session where we're going to answer any questions that you have. So if you do have any questions, you can type them into the questions box on your control panel at the side of the screen, and we will try to get through as many questions as possible. But I suppose before we get started with the webinar, I know we've quite a few BrightPay users who are watching today who are not using QuickFile, and we also have some QuickFile users who are not using BrightPay. So to start off today, we want to run through a quick introduction to both systems and how they can help your business. So I'll start off first with BrightPay. BrightPay is an award-winning payroll software that makes managing payroll quick and easy. At the moment, our products are used to process the payroll for over 320,000 businesses across the UK and Ireland, and we have been developing payroll software for over 30 years. BrightPay has a 99% customer satisfaction rate for an impressive 7 years in a row, and a 5-star rating on both Trustpilot and Software Advice. BrightPay is a desktop-based payroll software, and it's available for both Windows and Mac. All BrightPay licenses include 10 activations, and this means that payroll processing is possible by up to 10 users or from 10 different locations. And this is very handy if you have a number of employees working from home, all needing access to the payroll software. We do also have an optional cloud add-on called BrightPay Connect, which backs up the payroll data to the cloud, and both employers and employees have access to the payroll and HR information through a secure online self-service portal. And I suppose at BrightPay, a lot of what we do and a lot of the features that we introduce are designed to make your life easier. So here on the screen, I have some of BrightPay's standout features. First is accounting software integration. And this is essentially what we're going to discuss during today's webinar. So I'll skip that one for now. BrightPay can also simplify auto-enrollment processes, such as enrolling employees, communicating with employees, and submissions to pension providers. And you also receive on-screen alerts when you have auto-enrollment duties to perform. Next is direct payments, and this functionality was released just a few months ago. Essentially, you can make payments to employees, to subcontractors, and to HMRC through BrightPay using the modular integration. BrightPay also has batch payroll processing for accountants, where you can finalize the payroll, check for coding notices, and send submissions to HMRC for multiple clients at the same time. BrightPay includes furlough, a furlough pay calculator, including support for flexible furlough, which is something that many other software providers do not support. And BrightPay won a COVID-19 Hero Award for suppliers as a result of how we have helped our customers with furlough and working from home. Speaking of working from home, BrightPay has multi-user remote access, And it also alerts you if another user is currently in the payroll. And there is a version check as well, so that you're always using the latest version. As I mentioned with BrightPay Connect, there's online employer dashboards, and employees also have access to a self-service app on their smartphone or tablet. And here they can view their pay slips, request annual leave, view HR documents, and much more. And finally, something that is so important is customer support. BrightPay includes free phone and email support, and we also have hundreds of online step-by-step guides and video tutorials on our website. And we do run demos of both BrightPay and BrightPay Connect on a daily basis. So if you would like to see BrightPay Connect in action, please do let us know. So now, Matthew, do you want to give us an introduction to QuickFile and how it can help everyone who is on today's webinar?
Yeah, no problem at all. So, yes, good morning. As Rachel said, I'm Matthew from QuickFile. QuickFile is a cloud-based bookkeeping and accounting platform. There we go. So we currently have 25,000 active users, and overall we're helping them submit 40,000 plus VAT returns in the last year, which I'll touch on a little bit more later. Obviously I am a little bit biased. I will say QuickFile is great. Don't take our word for it, or don't take my word for it rather. We have been rated excellent on Trustpilot, so please check out those reviews if you have time. QuickFile is free for small and medium-sized accounts, and it's free for all new accounts for the first 60 days. We do have some optional extras such as bank feeds and a power user subscription, which allows you to add on extra features and reports. And the size is based on your activity in the rolling 12-month period. We also, we're completely cloud-based, so everything is accessed through a web browser. And as long as if you have an internet connection, you're good to go. There's nothing to download. It's all done in your browser. Or some of the more common features are available on the mobile apps on Android and iOS. So you can check those out in the Play and App Store if that's more your way of working. We also have a built-in document manager to help you keep your receipts and invoices from suppliers in one place. Or you could upload things like contracts and agreements, terms and conditions, things like that. You can also link those to the digital records. So you can create a purchase invoice, for example, and attach the original document from your supplier to that. And that, of course, makes it much easier to identify the original documents. So if, for example, HMRC does an audit on you, then you have those documents at hand with ease. And one of our more popular features is the automated bank feeds. So using the power of open banking, which if you haven't come across, it allows you to grant access to third parties. In our case, a read-only access, so we can't actually make payments or process any monetary transactions. It's completely read-only, and that allows you to keep your QuickFile account up to date on a daily basis. And we support some of the more popular banks, which includes the newer ones, Monzo and Starling, for example, and also the more traditional ones, HSBC, Barclays, and Lloyds, to name just a few. We support many more than that as well, so check out the list on our website and have a look. And then, just like Rich, I'm going to just run through a couple of the key features for QuickFile. So starting at the top, you've got automated reminders. So don't let your unpaid invoices sit there doing nothing. We can simplify your invoice chasing with automated reminders, and you can set up to 3 emails to send out to clients after so many days, and those days are customizable as well. If you have downloaded the mobile app, you can capture your receipts on the go. So if you are out meeting a client somewhere, then you could just capture that receipt, upload it to your QuickFile account, and you can either create the invoice record on your phone, or you can do it later on your web browser if that's more of your way of working. We are completely making tax digital compliant, so that allows you to submit your VAT returns digitally, which is a requirement for many businesses over the £85,000 turnover VAT requirement. We do plan to support the wider MTD scope when HMRC rolls this out. So that includes things like self-assessment and quarterly reporting. We support both cash and accrual accounting for VAT, along with the flat rate scheme. And we also support the domestic reverse charge, amongst other requirements. We understand that not all businesses are solely in pounds. We do support multiple currencies, including euros, dollars, and many more. With that, you can raise invoices in different currencies, you can record purchases, keep bank records in those currencies, and we can help with the invoice when you mark payments, mark invoices as paid. We can record the automatic currency adjustment as well, taking into account fluctuations in the exchange rate. And it's not all invoices and purchases. We do support estimates and purchase orders as well, which ties in nicely to the client portal. So you can give your client their own username and password. They can log into that account, they can view their invoices, view their estimates, and make payments as well through payment providers such as Stripe, Go Cardless, PayPal, and more. And then lastly, two-factor security is popping up more and more often now. I know I personally got it on my emails, my Amazon account, everything. So we support that as well, just to give you that little bit of extra peace of mind. I think that's it. Obviously, if you've got any questions about QuickFile, I'm happy to answer those more towards the end. But back over to you, Rachel.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matthew. So now that you know more about BrightPay and QuickFile, next we're going to look at how we have connected both systems and how they work together to make your life easier. And this is all thanks to APIs. But I suppose to start off with the basics, what does API integration actually mean? API stands for Application Programming Interface, and it allows two systems or applications to connect to each other so that they can exchange information and execute predefined processes. Put simply, an API works like a virtual middleman, relaying information from one system to another. You may never actually see an API working, and this is because it's a technical concept that works quietly in the background. And although we may not notice them, APIs really are everywhere you look, powering our lives from behind the scenes. So let's look at some of the brands you encounter in daily life. One example of API usage is the login option that you see on so many websites these days. Login using Facebook, Twitter, or Google. Instead of this website actually logging into your social media account, which would pose a serious security concern, the API integration provides that website with identification information from your social account so that it knows who's logging in. If you've ever purchased something on a website and paid using PayPal, that's also an API at work. Just like with logging in using a social media account, the PayPal API ensures that the website can only do what it needs to do without being exposed to sensitive data or gaining access to unintended permissions. It's like with travel booking sites. By using an API, they can collect information on thousands of flights and hotels instantly and showcase the cheapest option available. So whether you're opening up an app on your phone like Expedia to book a flight, or paying for something online using PayPal, you're using an API that facilitates the sharing of data from one application to another. APIs are incredibly convenient for the end user. They gather information so that it's all in one place, and they can share information with other devices, applications, and individuals so that you can save time. However, it's important to recognize that APIs are used behind the scenes for a whole lot more than those examples could ever illustrate. This is especially true in business, where effectively storing and exchanging data is paramount to everyday operation. So where does API integration fit in with payroll? Today, API integrations have transformed the world of payroll into something much more powerful. In the past, payroll software and accounting systems stood side by side, but they never spoke or communicated directly with each other. This was a big problem for payroll processors because employee salary details needed to be entered in the payroll software, but the accounting software needed this information as well. This meant that payroll processors had to manually enter the payroll information into both systems. It's repetitive, it's prone to human error, and it's extremely time consuming. Even today, depending on the payroll software that's used, this can still be a problem. Along with being a tedious and time-consuming process, double entry of payroll figures is notorious for producing errors, which then need to be identified and rectified. Manually copying the figures from the payroll software into your general ledger leaves a lot of room for manual data entry errors, and you may also need to make journal entries to fix mistakes. At BrightPay, we're always trying to develop our payroll software so that we can solve everyday problems for payroll processors. And our new partnership with QuickFile is the perfect example of this ethos in action. Essentially, BrightPay's integration has made it possible for the instant flow of payroll information from the payroll software to QuickFile. Instead of having to manually enter the payroll journals into the QuickFile account, they can be sent directly from BrightPay to QuickFile at the click of a button. So how does the API work? When you enter your QuickFile credentials in BrightPay, your nominal ledger accounts will be retrieved from QuickFile, where you can simply map each payroll data item to the relevant nominal account. Essentially, this nominal ledger mapping tells the payroll where you want things to get posted in your QuickFile software. For example, you may have a nominal account in QuickFile called Wages and Salaries, and this is where you may want to post the wages and salary costs from the payroll. The taxes deducted will usually be posted to a liability account, possibly called payroll taxes, and other payroll items may also require mapping. For example, employer pension costs or pension liabilities outstanding. You can also specify circumstances for which amounts should be mapped to an alternate nominal account. For example, if there are directors, you may want to see their costs separated out into another account, possibly called director's pay. So I'm now going to jump into the payroll software to show you how this integration works in BrightPay. So here within the main payroll screen, you will see a journal button along the top of the screen. And thanks to API integration, BrightPay can connect to a number of accounting packages, one of these being QuickFile. With each of these accounting packages, BrightPay can create the payroll journal file that's customized to the individual accounting software provider, which can then be sent directly to the account software. There is also an option to create a new nominal ledger mapping, and this can be used if you're using another accounts package that's not on the list above. With this generic option, BrightPay will help you and guide you through creating a CSV file, depending on what you need, and you can then import the file into your accounting software. And although this isn't as seamless as sending the journal directly to the accounting system, as it is with the API integration with QuickFile, it's still much more useful than copying out the figures manually. So going back to the API integration here, today I'm going to use QuickFile. And the first thing we come to here is the date range. and this has defaulted to the month of April, as this is the most recently finalized payroll. But you can change the date range to whatever you want. And BrightPay will include all finalized pay periods across all pay frequencies within the specified date range. So with BrightPay, the payroll journal can include records for payslips across multiple pay frequencies. You can also decide if you wish to include individual records for each employee, or if you want to merge the employee records for each unique payment date. So here, BrightPay is connecting to QuickFile and retrieving the nominal accounts. And here we are. So on this screen, we have the nominal ledger mapping. So here you need to decide where you want things to get posted in QuickFile. And because I've used this API before, it has saved the nominal ledger mapping so that I don't need to do it every time. But the first time I come in here, I just need to select what account that I want things to get posted in. So for example, here I have the gross wages appearing in 7,000 gross wages. And when we've completed this screen, we can continue. On this next screen here, we can add variables. So here you can specify any circumstances where you want figures to be posted to a different account. And I briefly touched on this earlier with the director's example, where I wanted their wages to go to a different account. So here I'm going to add a variation to the gross wages, and variations can be depending on the period type, directorship, departments, or specific rates, additions, deductions, etc. So first here is the schedule or the pay frequency, and I'm going to leave this as any. And the next is the directorship. And as I said, I'm going to stick with my director's example, so I'm just going to select director. Next is departments, and again, I'll leave this one as any. And finally then is pay item. And this allows you to add a variation depending on the specific rates, additions, and deductions. And again, I'll just leave it at any. So now that I've specified what variation I want to add, next I need to let BrightPay know where in QuickFile that I want the gross salary for directors to be posted. So if further down the screen at the mapping, I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to say that I want it to go to 7,001 directors' salaries and save. I can also add further variations and setting the rules to apply by clicking on Add Variation. And again, any variations are saved so that you don't need to redo this every pay period or every month. On the final screen, the journal is displayed for you to review, and you can print this so that you can see a full breakdown or to save it for your own records. And once happy, simply click Send to QuickFile. So BrightPay is now sending the payroll journal to QuickFile, and now here we have confirmation that the journal was successfully sent. And finally, when closing out, it will ask if you want to save the changes so that you don't need to re-enter any mapping or variations every time you create a wage journal. So Matthew, I think I'll pass it back to you now again to show the...
Yeah, thank you very much, Rachel. So for those of you who are not familiar with QuickFile, you would set up an account and you'd have access to all these features on a custom subdomain. So a subdomain is the part that appears before quickfile.co.uk. So you could have mybusiness.quickfile.co.uk, and that will give you access to everything relating to your account. So this is your main dashboard of QuickFile, which will give you an overview of your account. You can see the total OTU, the total UO, both generated from your invoices. And to the right of that, there are some graphs for those of you who are a bit more visual. These show you the amounts invoiced and outstanding for both sales and purchases. This gives you a good view of the data in a table if that's what you prefer, and also compare values from the last year to track how your business is performing. Below this, you'll also have an overview of your bank balances. And to the right of that, you have a PIN board, which is where we'll show if you have a VAT return due soon, highlight key filing dates, and allow you to upload receipts quickly too. So I'm just going to give you a quick run through of the different menus across the top, starting with sales. So sales gives you access to your invoices, your estimates, clients, payments, and more. You can also see your enter cash register take-ins, which is perfect for shop owners to enter the daily take-ins. So where you might not issue invoices to every customer, you can enter them in bulk here. Recurring invoices is also accessible here. So for businesses who operate a subscription type business, you can automatically issue invoices weekly, monthly, annually, and so on. And linked with a payment method such as Go Cardless, which is direct debit, you can collect the balance automatically too. Nice and easy. Moving on to purchases. Does as it says on the tin, it gives you access to all your purchases, suppliers, and your purchase orders. So think of purchases as your expense. This is where you log all your purchases from stationery to IT equipment. Banking gives you access to all your bank accounts within QuickFile. So to help simplify your bookkeeping, not only can you set up the automated bank feeds, which I touched on earlier, you can also set up bank tagging rules. QuickFile works on the basis of a bank transaction being tagged or associated with an action. For example, paying an invoice, transfer between accounts, tax payment, and so on. The bank tagging rules can automate this for you based on common details, such as a bank reference. Going on to reports, you can see there's quite a variety of reports there, including standard profit and loss, balance sheet, trial balance. We also support projects, so you can group invoices and purchases by a project, so you can work out a profit and loss based on those. Your VAT returns, your journals, which I'll touch on a bit later on, HMRC and Companies House, so you can look up live company data from Companies House as well. We do have a lot more reports, such as your aged creditors and so on, segmented profit and loss, all available under show more reports. Obviously too many to show in one menu. Your account settings is, again, as it says on the tin, you can access all your company settings, your company name, address, and so on. Team management, so you can actually add more team members to your account. So if you have someone who specifically looks after all your accounting and all your bookkeeping, you can add them with their own username and password for added security. And we give a complete audit log as well of all these actions, so you can see who done what and when. You can customize your invoices, add a logo, change the position of text, change the color of the text. They're quite flexible in what you can do. Manage payment options, so that's where you would manage your connections to the likes of PayPal, Go Cardless, Stripe, WorldPay, Cresgo, and more. Your routine emails, your general, this invoice is overdue, new invoice created, and so on. You have the templates there at an account level, but you can tailor them to each client and even to each invoice. And then you have things like your tools, which is your document management, import data, so you can import data from CSV files if you, for example, change it from a different system, and third-party integration, which would give you access to Dropbox, so you can upload all your receipts to Dropbox and they automatically import into QuickFile. And then lastly, you've got help. So you've got support options, additional service, knowledge-based referrals, and QuickFile forums. And it's the additional service part here that I'm going to go into in a bit more detail. So if I just go into additional services, this is the sort of thing that you would see. So you've got things like a limited company year-end service. You could, if you go through that, you can answer a couple of questions, and then we gather some quotes for you from a variety of accountants who use and are familiar with QuickFile. So if you haven't got an accountant, and you do all your bookkeeping yourself, this is a perfect way to do it. On this occasion, I'm going to go into the QuickFile Marketplace. If you scroll down the page, you can see the BrightPay option there. So initially you would see Connect, and I'm just going to copy that token there, which you then input into BrightPay and allows BrightPay to connect to QuickFile. So going back to when Rachel ran payroll earlier in BrightPay, it sends the data over to QuickFile. Now, as it was explained, it was all done in the background through an API, which, by the way, is actually publicly available. So if you wanted to develop your own tools, you could do that if you have the technical know-how. But if I go into Journals under the Reports menu, you can see this journal, which was created yesterday. And if I go into this one, you can view all the different lines. And this is the output from BrightPay. So as you can imagine, there's 44 lines here. If you are entering all those by hand, that's prone to error. By creating this link between BrightPay and QuickFile, just through a couple of button clicks, that data is automatically transferred over to QuickFile. Nice and easy, simplifies the process, and it reduces the likelihood of errors. So that's a quick overview of QuickFile. Obviously, there's a lot more to it, but I'm going to hand it back over to Rachel now, and we'll answer some questions at the end.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matthew. And as Matthew said there, I see there is some questions coming in already. So if you do have any questions about either BrightPay or QuickFile, feel free to type them into the questions box and we will get to them at the end. But I suppose going back to the PowerPoint again, and the key question that you're probably all thinking is, what are the benefits of integrating your payroll and accounting software? So why are we doing all of this? Well, essentially, we have streamlined the entire process so that you can spend less time and effort on keeping your payroll and accounting systems aligned, and instead free up time for you to spend on other tasks that really need your attention. Ultimately, it makes your job easier, your work accurate, and your entire role more efficient. The need to manually export and import CSV files, or even manually re-entering the payroll data into more than one system, is instantly eliminated. And in its place, you have time for more productive activities. Processing times will be much faster, as you will be able to submit data in just a few clicks. As I mentioned previously, and as Matthew mentioned there, mistakes and human error are often associated with manual data entry. Unfortunately, with the instant flow of payroll information from BrightPay to QuickFile, not only does it improve data accuracy, but it also eliminates the hours wasted locating and fixing mistakes. Integrating your payroll solution with your accounting software makes sense for many reasons, including efficiency, time savings, and improved workflows. But believe it or not, this accounting software integration is not the only example of API integration in BrightPay. In fact, integration has been included in BrightPay since its inception. Look at RTI, for example. At the click of a button, you can send an FPS from BrightPay to HMRC, and within 8 to 10 seconds, you receive confirmation back that HMRC have received the information. And as you may have guessed, this is performed with API integration. There's no need whatsoever to log in to any HMRC portal to send, email, upload, or submit the data. Another example of API integration in BrightPay is our integration with various pension providers. You can send auto-enrollment files directly from BrightPay to a number of pension providers from within the payroll software. This integration is available with Nest, Smart Pension, People's Pension, and Aviva. And without that integration, you would need to save the file, log into the pension provider's online portal, and manually upload the file. Another new BrightPay integration this year is the ability to make payments from within BrightPay, and this is a new feature that we have added for BrightPay for Windows. It gives users the ability to pay employees, subcontractors, and HMRC directly through BrightPay using the modular integration. It's a fast, secure, and easy way to pay employees and HMRC, and it eliminates the need to create bank files and the manual workload associated with making payments. When you have finalized the payroll, you can choose the option to pay by modular, and where you are in a payroll bureau situation where you process payroll for multiple clients, the client or the person authorized on the modular account to make payments will be able to log into their modular account using secure mobile two-factor authentication and approve the payments. I suppose another even more basic example of integration is the way in which BrightPay is connected to BrightPay Connect. And although we have created and developed both products, integration is needed to connect both systems so that they can communicate with each other. So payslips, payroll reports, and amounts due to HMRC all flow from BrightPay to BrightPay Connect, while an employee's annual leave, their updates to their personal details, and even client timesheet uploads flow from Connect to the payroll software. So before we finish up today, I just want to jump into the software again to show you how the BrightPay Connect add-on works. With BrightPay Connect, the payroll is still processed on the desktop application of BrightPay, but the payroll information is stored online on a secure cloud server. And if you're using BrightPay Connect, this cloud icon in the top right corner will be green. And if I click on this, we can go to Employer Dashboard, access the employee self-service settings, or restore from a cloud backup. BrightPay Connect will automatically back up the payroll information to the cloud, and you can access a list of all the backups that can be restored at any time if needed. So next I'm going to go to Employer Dashboard, and this is the online portal that is connected to BrightPay payroll software on your desktop. We'll see a dashboard when we first log in, and various tabs across the top of the screen. So first I'm going to go into Employees, and here you can click into each employee's profile to access payslips. And the integration between BrightPay and Connect means that payslips will automatically be available on Connect as soon as the payroll is finalized. There's no need to print or email payslips. BrightPay Connect does this automatically for you. The next one that I want to look at is reports. And again, the integration means that payroll data is available instantly online. Any report that is set up and saved on BrightPay on your desktop will be available for you to run on your online employer dashboard. Next is the calendar, and BrightPay Connect includes a company-wide employee calendar where you can view all past and scheduled leave. And any leave that has been approved will automatically be synchronized to BrightPay on your desktop. This means that you don't need to manually track leave on the payroll software. For example, if an employee was off sick and was entitled to SSP, you can see this instantly from within the payroll software. HMRC payments also flow through from the payroll software to BrightPay Connect, which means that you can log in to your online dashboard to view exactly how much you owe to HMRC. And the final tab then is Documents, where you can upload any type of document that you want to distribute to your employees. So here, for example, I've uploaded a contract of employment, a company handbook. You can even upload the likes of furlough agreements. So that's the online employer dashboard. And as I mentioned, employees also have access to a self-service portal where they can log in on a smartphone and tablet app. And the app is available to download for free on any Android or iOS device. The employee will receive a notification on their device when a new payslip is available, and they'll also get a notification when a HR document has been shared with them or when an annual leave request has been approved. And if I open the notification here on the app, the employee has visibility of how much annual leave they have remaining, and they have also a record of their notifications. Within documents, the employee can view payroll documents or HR documents and resources. And if I go into the payroll documents then, here the employee has a payslip library where they can view and download all historical payslips. The employee can go into the calendar, and here they can view all past and scheduled leave, or they can also request leave by clicking on the plus sign at the top right of the screen. And once the leave request has been approved, as I mentioned, it'll automatically appear on the payroll software and also on the employer and employee calendars on Connect. And finally, the employee can view their personal details that you have on file for them, and they can request edits to these details. For example, if they moved to a new house. Again, once a change has been approved by the employer or their manager, the employee details will automatically be updated on the payroll software, which also helps you with GDPR compliance. So that brings us to the end of the webinar, and I know we've covered a lot on the webinar, but as I mentioned, we will send each of you an email today, and this will include a copy of the slides and a link to the recording of the webinar. But now it's time for the questions and answers, and I see a few questions have come in already. So as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, you can type them into the questions box and we will try to get through as many as possible. So the first question here is, does BrightPay submit your CIS return each month? Yeah, BrightPay connects to HMRC for the CIS returns as well as the RTI returns as well. BrightPay includes a full CIS module as well at no extra cost. Just to add to that as well, actually, the new modular integration that I mentioned where you can pay employees, you can also use that to pay your CIS subcontractors as well. The next question here, I see I have a bureau license with BrightPay. So how do I know that the journal that I want to integrate with my accounting software goes to the correct client software? So I'm not 100% sure on this one. I suppose with BrightPay, each of the journals, there's no bureau option to log in. So you would have the different login options for each of your clients. And once you have BrightPay open and log into the relevant ones, you should know from there that it will be connected going forward.
I can see one here. Once I've run payroll, do I need to do anything else in QuickFile? So yeah, once you've run the payroll, that will create the journal for you, but you would still need to actually tag the payment to your employees themselves. So when that comes in on your bank feed, or if you entered it manually, that you could just, if you click tag me, you'll have an option for salary payment, enter the details, and it should all balance out for you.
Okay. There's a question here. I have both QuickFile and BrightPay. Do I have to connect them both ways? Matthew, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, in simple terms, no, you don't need to connect it both ways because BrightPay pushes the data through to QuickFile. What you would need to do is just get the marketplace token, as I done in my quick demo, just to authorize BrightPay with that access. But if you do come across any issues, or if you can't find the right option, then just drop our support team a message and we can point you in the right direction.
Great. I see one comment in here, you haven't mentioned the cost of BrightPay. I do actually have a couple of slides here for if I was asked about the price of BrightPay. So we do have a few different license options. We have a standard license, which is for single employers processing their payroll in-house, and prices range from £99 to £199 per tax year. And we also have a bureau version then, which is for payroll bureaus and accountants who process payroll for a number of clients. And the bureau license starts at £249 for the tax year for up to 10 clients, or for unlimited employers and unlimited employees, the most it will be £499 plus VAT per tax year. And as I said, each of these licenses can be installed on up to 10 PCs. So this is for the payroll software itself, but as BrightPay Connect with the online backup and the dashboards is an add-on, there is an additional cost for this. And with BrightPay Connect, it's priced on a monthly subscription based on the usage in that month, so that you're only paying for what you use. So you can see here, if you have 10 employees on your payroll, you would be charged just £3.90 per month for BrightPay Connect. Just looking at the questions here again.
Go on. Are there any guides available to get to grips with QuickFile? Yeah, so we have some knowledge-based guides which is accessible through your account or through our main website, which is just simply support.quickfile.co.uk. In addition to that, we do have a community forum where you can either ask other users for their support on different features, or if it's a little bit more confidential, for example, account specific, then you can get in touch with our support team as well, either by private messaging them on the community forum or just dropping us an email at support@quickfile.co.uk.
Great. There's a question in here asking, can the BrightPay app be used by CIS subcontractors? So at the moment, for the employer, they have access to the CIS subcontractors through BrightPay Connect, but unfortunately at the moment the app isn't available for subcontractors. I know it is something that is on our development list, but for the moment it's just available for the employer or the client to view those subcontractors. There's another question here is, can you confirm how to deal with employer's allowance and confirm which nominal accounts to use? So I suppose the journals we have are essentially employee journals. So it doesn't cater for employment allowance or recoverable amounts. So where applicable, a manual journal within the account software will be required. I suppose we have considered the idea of developing a HMRC payments journal down the line, which is where the employment allowance would fall under. But there would still be a complexity around how to handle the employment allowance, especially where there are departments, etc. So it's unlikely it'll be added anytime soon, but I know it has been asked a lot.
Question, does QuickFile have an option for accountants? So QuickFile has another platform which is called QuickFile Affinity, which is designed for bookkeepers and accountants, but it can be used with anyone who's got multiple accounts. It's a great way to log into one platform, see them all at a glance, and log into them individually. In terms of linking that with BrightPay, you would have to link each client individually, I believe. Rachel might be able to confirm that for BrightPay side. But yeah, it's a standard QuickFile account, it's just accessed in a different way.
Great, yeah, like that with BrightPay as well. Once you have that API key from QuickFile for the unique client in the payroll software, that's kind of how it works for the bureau side. Does BrightPay issue certificates for subcontractors? So yeah, BrightPay issue, or with BrightPay you can create that payments certificate there in the payroll software. Can you automate the journals from each client to their accounting software, or do you need to process the journal every month? So yeah, unfortunately, it's not an automated process for each client. You would need to go in to manually send it through. But like that, if you have a weekly payroll, you might decide to do it at the end of each month, and the one submission will send through all of the pay frequencies within the date range. I know I did have a few different slides to go through when I was showing my part on the BrightPay side. But really, once you have the nominal ledger mapping and the variations added and saved, each month it really is just click through the 3 screens and send to QuickFile. I see a question here. If I would have a question about payroll with who I need to talk to with QuickFile or with BrightPay. If I need to talk to BrightPay, which support do they have? Email, telephone, or chat? Is the BrightPay cost included in QuickFile charges, or would it be a separate charge? If so, what's the cost? So yeah, I've already shown the BrightPay charges there on screen. With BrightPay, there is free phone and email support, and that's available Monday to Friday from 9 to 5. And we do also have hundreds and hundreds of help guides and video tutorials on our website as well on the BrightPay side of things.
In terms of QuickFile, as I mentioned earlier, small and medium accounts are free to use, and all accounts are free for the first 60 days, regardless of size. So that's based on the number of nominal ledger entries you have on your account. So anything below 1,000 in a rolling 12-month period is free, and anything above that is £45 plus VAT per year. Obviously, you have your additional optional features like the open banking feeds, for example, which is £15 plus VAT per year.
Great. I think that's a lot of the questions answered there. Or Matthew, do you see any other ones? I see there is some repetition coming in there and a few that we might get onto directly to answer those questions, but I think that might be it.
Yeah, if anyone does have any further questions, like I said, drop us a line on our community forum or email us on support@quickfile.co.uk.
Yeah. And as I said, we will send out a follow-up email later today with a link to the recording of the webinar and the slides. But in that email as well, there is actually a link to contact BrightPay and to contact QuickFile if you need to contact either of us. So yeah, I'd like to thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. And Matthew, a massive thank you again for joining me for today's webinar. And we hope everyone found it useful. Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much.
Bye.